So we discussed the first difference in Selenium is it is open source, free to use, and free of charge. As anybody can download, anybody can modify the Selenium code, and you can use. But if you compare with the QTP tool, it is a commercial, and you have to pay for this. If you want to use, you have to pay for this, and some large companies like some financial sectors or some MNC companies, so they use this QTP tool for to maintain their data, to maintain the confidentiality of their customers data, so they use this QTP tool. And some small companies, private companies, so they go for the Selenium as it is open source and free of charge. So the next difference is it is highly extensible. Selenium tool is highly extensible, but in QTP it has some limited add-ons. And Selenium can run the tests across different browsers. As different browsers, as we discussed in the previous class, previous video, that is Firefox, Google Chrome, Safari, Opera, so different browsers that is supported by the Selenium. But QTP can only run the tests in Firefox, Internet Explorer, and Chrome. Okay, so you have to keep in mind it only supports the 3 browsers, and Selenium supports various operating systems, as you know, and but QTP it can be only used in the Windows. So it supports for Linux. So QTP only that can be only used for the Windows or desktop based application. Then it supports the mobile devices, mobile application testing, and QTP supports mobile devices using third-party software. You have to use some third-party software to test the mobile operating system. And Selenium can execute tests while browser is minimized. So you can test while the browser is minimized, but it needs to have the application under the test to be visible on the desktop. So that is the difference between this Selenium and QTP. And Selenium can execute tests in parallel. So that is a feature you can see in the Selenium grid. So the Selenium grid that is used along with Selenium RC for parallel executing of tests. So that is feature is available in the Selenium testing tool, and in QTP it can only execute in parallel but using Quality Center, which is again a paid product. So again they have to pay for the particular. If you want to use such few feature, so they have to pay for that. Okay, next we'll see the summary of the previous 2 videos and the difference between this Selenium and QTP. So the entire Selenium tool suite is comprised of 4 components that we discussed. That is Selenium IDE, there is a Firefox add-on, there is a plugin that you can only use in creating relatively simple test cases and test suites. So it supports only a simple tests. For advanced test cases, you have to go for the next versions. Okay, so Selenium IDE is just a Firefox add-on, Firefox plugin. Then Selenium remote control of Selenium RC is also known as Selenium 1, which is the first Selenium tool that allowed user to use programming language in creating complex tests. So this is the first web application testing tool that supports the different languages. Then WebDriver, so the newer breakthrough that allows your test scripts to communicate directly to the browser. So for Selenium RC, a Selenium RC server is needed, but in WebDriver it directly communicates to the browser, thereby controlling it from the operating system level. So the next point is the Selenium Grid. Selenium Grid is also a tool that is used when with Selenium RC to execute the parallel test across different browsers and operating systems. So we also discussed about Selenium RC and WebDriver. Selenium RC means Selenium 1 and the WebDriver that merged, and the Selenium company they called it as Selenium 2. So Selenium is more advantageous than QTP, as we see in the difference between the QTP tool and Selenium tool. So QTP has their own advantages and disadvantages. So it has more advantages than the QTP in terms of cost and flexibilities. So it also allows you to run the tests in parallel, unlike in QTP where you are only allowed to run the tests sequentially.